don't care.
I will kill you with bare hands! Ah!
No, no, no!
Ha! Dead!
Scout's primaries are a mixed bag. On one hand, you have the stock scattergun and the soda popper, both versatile options for many situations. And on the other hand, you have weapons like the shortstop, Babyface's blaster, and the backscatter. Weapons that are far too situational to see any real use. Notice how the Force of Nature was not on that list. I feel like the Force of Nature is in limbo between space and time because of how simultaneously terrible and great it is, just like this bit. But that's a topic for a different video. So anyway, on today's episode of Till It Breaks, I'm going to show you not only how to effectively use the backscatter, but to also know your limits when using this weapon. So without further ado, let's use it till it breaks. So to understand the complexities of the backscatter, let's break down its stats. Alright, so the backscatter will deal mini crits at close range from behind. Alright so far. Minus 34% clip size, 20% less accurate, no random crits? What the fuck? The trade-off for these stats are terrible. I'm pretty sure the phrase goes, an eye for an eye, not an eye for ripping your fucking balls off. To make matters worse, this thing looks like it has a pair of balls. I'm pretty sure Valve added this thing in as a joke. Think about it for a second. You're using a gun that looks like a dick and balls that does extra damage from behind. The jokes just write themselves. So, how do you effectively get behind the enemy so you can put your long, meaty scattergun in their scattergun to their backs? Well, depends on the map unfortunately. Maps like Double Cross and Steel are great maps for flank routes. To get maximum flankage, play in game modes like 5CP, COF, and CTF. So that brings me to the downsides of the weapon. Minus 34% clip size and 20% less accurate. These downsides take away Scout's sustainability in a fight. 4 shells mean you have to really consider your shots. 20% less accurate means you even have to be closer to the enemy. Winning head-to-head fights with this thing is not impossible. It's just a little harder to do than it usually is. Now, I want you to consider everything I just said about the backscatter. Everything you get to do to get use out of it. Now, I want you to think of the fact that the scattergun just kind of exists. The scattergun does what the backscatter wants to do, but just does it 10 times better. Half the time the backscatter's upsides don't even come into play. Yeah, enemies can just turn around.
Ah, crap.
God, I feel like I'm playing Spy. Even if you manage to hit someone in their back, you're still gonna two-shot them, so why even use it? The backscatter is a completely redundant weapon, and there is just no need for it to exist. Don't get me wrong, the idea of a flank-centered scout primary is a great idea. It's just the backscatter does that idea terribly. The only reason why I can see someone using it is because of the mini crit numbers above an enemy's head that activates a little squirt of dopamine. That's why I use it. There's one other use I can maybe see this thing being useful, and that is with scout training. Using the backscatter is your primary of choice for a while, until you get good with it, and then you switch to the scattergun, which, by this point, you'd be so used to using a shitty gun, you basically obliterate the entire enemy team. That, or you could use it to one-shot oblivious snipers. Which doesn't even fucking matter, because you could just as easily two-shot them with the scattergun. By the time they turn around, they're already fucking dead. There aren't really any special techniques that you can pull off, besides one. The trick stab. By baiting in the enemy you're fighting and looking in a different direction, you can basically do a trick stab. No one has pushed the backscatter this far before. This is going beyond the limits of what is currently possible. Considering in the TF2 lore, the spy is Scout's dad, this makes a little sense. But unfortunately, most of the time, you're going to be running head to head with a neutered version of the scatter gun. So if you run out of ammo, or targets is just out of reach, what can you do to counter that? Secondaries. Now, what makes a good secondary weapon for the backscatter? Well, let's go over them and find out. Stock. Hands down the best option. High clip size, good damage output, and good for targets outside of your backscatter's range. Pretty much great in all pistols related situations. Pretty Boy's pocket pistol. A great choice. Faster firing rate means more damage. Get a little health back on each hit and it's a great finisher. Lower clip size means you're gonna have to be a little bit more careful with your shots. The Winger. An alright choice, boasting 15% more damage, but it has the lowest clip size of all the pistols, meaning you're really gonna have to be smart with your shots. The 25% increase to your jump height means you can access flank routes easier, but in my opinion, it's not worth sacrificing your already poor sustainability for more mobility. The Flying Guillotine. A bad choice. High damage at mid-range, if you can hit the projectile. If you miss, you have to wait for a short time to throw it again. You lose the consistency of a pistol is what I'm trying to say. It would be good for any other loadout. The Mad Milk. A poor choice. It does not synergize well with the backscatter at all. It might be good to support your team though. God knows that you can't do much else with the backscatter. What? Hey, what was that? Never mind, whatever. Bonk. A mid-choice. It allows you to access flank routes filled with enemies, but they'll probably just chase you down when the effects are wear off. It's good for bypassing sentries though. Crit-a-cola. An actual waste of a secondary slot. You already do mini crits from behind. Do not use it. There's all the secondaries. So, what about the melee weapons? Well, I think for the most part, it mostly depends on your loadout, which we'll go over right now. When creating a loadout, you want it to have synergy. All weapons in a loadout should work well off each other. You also want a loadout to have a main focus, so to speak. An example? The backscatter, stock pistol, and the atomizer. The backscatter is the main focus of this loadout. The stock pistol is used to cover up the many weaknesses of the backscatter. And the atomizer is used for accessing flank routes, so you can get the full use out of the backscatter. Now, with this design philosophy in mind, here are a few loadouts I've created. Mid-range. Backscatter, stock pistol, and the Rap Assassin. This loadout maximizes mid-range damage. You can also swap the stock pistol for the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol for effectively finishing off enemies, while also getting a little health back. The Flank King. Backscatter, Winger, and the Atomizer. This loadout maximizes flanking ability. Being able to access flank routes is key when using the backscatter. You could also swap out the Winger for any other of the pistols for a bit more sustainability. Personally, it's up to you. Bonk Bypasser. Backscatter, Bonk, and the Atomizer. This loadout is used for bypassing enemies and sentries. Being able to bypass enemies to get behind them is an invaluable tool. The only problem is, you're completely reliant on your backscatter. There is one more loadout I've neglected to mention. One loadout in particular. One long forgotten by our records. A loadout so powerful that knowledge of its existence has been sealed away. Until recently, this diabolical loadout has resurfaced. Its name? Penis Scout. The Penis Scout uses backscatter, Mad Milk, and the Boston Badger. Using your backscatter to destroy your enemies from behind. Using your jar of cum as humiliation. And finally, using your Boston Basher to simulate the average piss-up toilet. With these three options, you become the Penis Scout. Humiliate your enemies with this loadout. Laugh in their faces as you cover them in your own sticky spooge. Now, go! Spread this knowledge with everyone you know. Penis Scout domination is at hand. Nothing can stop. Hey guys, I don't know what came over me. The Penis Scout is a bad loadout. The Mad Milk has no synergy with the Backscatter at all, and it's just not a good loadout. Anyway, here are my final thoughts on the Backscatter. Help. Despite all its flaws, at its base form, it's just a stock scatter gun. Just get up in people's faces and it will do its job. The low clip size of the gun means you're going to be running out of ammo in fights. What I'm trying to say is that it's just usable. Just not good, not bad, just usable. The main function of the gun is completely based on if your opponent is not even paying attention. Tweaking the stats isn't going to fix this thing. I think an overhaul is needed. I think it's got potential, but ultimately, it's just not good. Final ranking, 4 out of 10. Don't even bother with it. Unless you like CBT. Yes! One more penis joke. I had a lot of fun playing with this gun. Its playstyle is definitely fun. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good one! If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching my entire video.
Well, would you look at that?